The Black Saturday bushfires that impacted the city of Casey, there are 3 sites. The first one we're going to is Narre North. How that started was around 11:30, 11:40 in the morning. As a result of grinding activity, fire was sparked into grasslands, Melbourne Water, and took hold and started running towards Troops Creek. CFA did a fantastic job initially to thwart the onset of that, but unfortunately later on embers from a burning tree went out into other grasslands and into Troop Creek itself, pushing the fire in an east-southeasterly direction, moving towards Harkaway. It got through the dam after directly threatening properties in Crawley Road, Arranmore Crescent and Angela Court. But fortunately, because of the efforts of the CFA, no houses were lost in these areas.
An ember had been buried somewhere where the thermal imaging camera couldn't see it. A resident, apparently, according to the Royal Commission report, a resident had cut down the limb that ember was in. That ember rolled out onto dry grass, and with the wind picking up, it blew it straight up the creek. To some extent, we were lucky because the banks of the creek stopped some of the encroachment out into their residential properties along Crawley Road and Arranmore Crescent.
Our main concern it was going to jump the King Road and the Harkaway Road area and get into and impact the township of Harkaway. Our plan was to put a heap of resources as they were coming in up around that area to combat any type of outbreak up there. But we were fortunate enough that our crews on the day worked very, very hard.
This was an absolutely fantastic result because it meant that the Harkaway township wasn't impacted directly by fire, and also it meant that the fire didn't then spread into Upper Beaconsfield, threatening thousands of lives and hundreds of properties. So it was a fantastic result at the end of the day. The second fire occurred in Coral Drive, Hampton Park, where it is believed it was deliberately lit in the Melbourne Water Reserve area, catching fire to a bushed strip on the Coral Drive Road Reserve. It then travelled into the grasslands on Melbourne Water land and pushed in a south-southeasterly direction towards Ormond Road, where it jumped the road and then quickly spread into farmland and continued through the Melbourne Water easement there. The fire quickly spread to homes situated on Lungbourne Drive, and as a result 6 homes were lost due to the fire impact. It's worth noting too that the fire spread so quickly and was so intense that residents had to flee their homes after fire literally fell through their ceilings and into the lounge areas. The air conditioning units were on at the time, and that filtered a lot of the smoke so that residents were not aware that fire had impacted property. And bearing in mind too, it was part of a heatwave phenomena, and the information and messaging being sent out by agencies at the time was to keep inside, keep cool and hydrated, and avoid going outside. So the whole situation just was really exacerbated by a combination of the fire and heatwave activity. In response to this fire, the CFA again attended when they could. Initially, the call out was received by Phillip Island Brigade because resources were deployed in the area to the Narre Warren North fire, but Melbourne Fire Brigade, who had been dispatched to assist resources with the Narre Warren North fire, had been redeployed to the Narre Warren South and Hampton Park fire and did a fantastic job in suppressing that so that only 6 properties were lost at the end of the day. The third fire occurred approximately half an hour after the fire that started in Hampton Park, and it was just to the south of that second fire, with the ignition source being on the South Gippsland Highway, and it moved very quickly in a south-southeasterly direction towards Cranbourne North. The fire jumped the South Gippsland Highway and spread into grassland areas which surround a palliative care facility and also a retirement village.
Fire crews from the Lungbourne Drive fire some of them were dispatched across to deal with that incident. So that was managed almost as a single incident, even though it was 2 separate fires. The fire ran up the driveway to the golf course at Huon Park, and there was some risk to residents' properties there. It was stopped on the road verge though, so it didn't actually cross over that driveway, which is a fairly well maintained driveway. So there was about 20 to 30 metres worth of fire break there between the grassland that was burning and the back of the properties.
Due to good firefighting efforts again, no properties were lost in this fire.